As you can see, the Edit Workspace has a wide range of professional photo editing tools, many of them only found in much more expensive applications. The Tools toolbar is located on the far left, and tool options change when a different tool is selected. Along the top are menu items, and along the right is the Materials palette, where I can choose colours, patterns, textures and gradients. Underneath that is my Layers palette, where I can stack images, change their order, opacity and how they blend together. I can precisely organise my edits and effects in this way. This is very useful for making photo composites, posters or other projects. On the far right is a very useful area for new users. The Learning Centre covers a number of topics and tools to help you learn how to use PaintShop Pro quickly and effectively. You can search for a task in the Learning Centre, and PaintShop Pro will both highlight the tool you need to use and teach you how to use it. You can select any tool in the toolbar and instructions on how to use that tool will be displayed. For more help and learning options, go to the Help menu. You'll find Product Help, the User Guide and a link to a wide range of tutorial videos. To get started in the Edit Workspace, you can access files by clicking the navigation icon to bring up the navigation palette. Or if you want to start with a blank canvas, go to File, New, or click the New icon on the top left. Or if you want to use a project template to get you started even faster, go to File, New from Template, or click on the New from Template icon, which sits right next to the New icon. Here in the Blank Canvas tab, you can select from a number of preset canvas types and sizes, or create your own. New from Template is just like it sounds. Here you can start your project with a professional looking template instead of from scratch. These free and premium templates automatically open in PaintShop Pro after downloading and have labelled layers to instruct you. Drop in photos and further customise to make it your own. I'm going to start with my photo that's already in the Edit Workspace. Let me quickly take you through the tools of the Edit Workspace. You'll notice some of these tools are found in the Adjust workspace as well. Zoom zooms in when you left click or zooms out when you right click. You can drag to define an area for zooming. Pan lets you control which part of the image is visible in the image window. The Pick tool moves, rotates and reshapes raster layers and selects and modifies vector objects. Move moves a raster layer or vector layer on the canvas. Auto Selection selects the edges of an area automatically when you enclose the area in a selection rectangle. The Smart Selection brush selects the edges of an area automatically when you brush over a sample area. The Selection tool creates a geometrically shaped selection such as a rectangle, ellipse or triangle. Freehand Selection creates an irregularly shaped selection. The Magic Wand tool makes a selection based on pixel values within a specified tolerance level. The dropper lets you choose the foreground or stroke colour by left-clicking, or the background and fill colour by right-clicking. The crop tool, as seen in the Adjust workspace, trims and eliminates unwanted edges. The Straighten tool, also in the Adjust workspace, rotates a crooked photo to straighten it. Perspective correction squares the perspective of buildings or other objects that appear to be leaning. The Red Eye, Makeover and Clone tools all work in exactly the same fashion as we've already seen in the Adjust workspace. Red Eye quickly corrects the red eye effect, often seen in flash photography. The Makeover tool provides 5 modes: Blemish Fixer, Toothbrush, Eye Drop, Suntan and Thinify, which lets you apply cosmetic fixes to subjects in your photos. The Clone tool removes flaws and objects by painting over them with another part of the image. Right-click to choose the source area and drag with the left mouse button to paint. The Scratch Remover tool removes wrinkles, wires and similar linear flaws from digital photos and removes scratches from scanner photos. The Object Remover covers unwanted elements of a photo with a neighbouring texture in the same photo. The paintbrush lets you paint on your image with colours, textures or gradients. The airbrush simulates painting with an airbrush or spray can. Lighten Darken lightens areas as you drag, or darkens areas as you drag with the right mouse button. This effect is stronger than the effect produced by the Dodge and Burn tools. Dodge lets you lighten areas of a photo by clicking. Or darken areas by right-clicking. Burn lets you darken areas of a photo by left-clicking. Or lighten areas by right-clicking. The Smudge tool smears pixels by picking up new colours as you drag. or pushes pixels by not picking up new colours as you drag with the right mouse button. The Push tool pushes pixels by not picking up new colours as you drag. Or smears pixels by picking up colours as you drag with the right mouse button. The Soften tool softens pixels as you drag. Or sharpens pixels as you drag with the right mouse button. Sharpen sharpens pixels as you drag. Or soften pixels as you drag with the right mouse button. Emboss creates an embossed effect by suppressing colour and tracing edges as you drag. Saturation up, down makes colours more vivid as you drag. Or less vivid as you drag with the right mouse button. Hue up or down shifts the hue values of pixels up as you drag, or shifts them down as you drag with the right mouse button. Change to Target recolours pixels while retaining detail. The Colour Replacer replaces the background or fill colour with the foreground or stroke colour when you click and drag. Or it replaces the foreground and stroke colour with the background and fill colour when you right-click and drag. The Eraser tool erases raster layer pixels to transparency. The Background Eraser tool erases around the edges of areas you want to keep in a photo. Flat Fill fills pixels of a similar tolerance level with the current foreground stroke material when you click. Or with the current background fill material when you right-click. Colour Changer changes the colour of an object while preserving the shading and luminosity of the original colour. Gradient Fill allows you to apply a gradient that you can adjust interactively. Picture Tube tool places picture tubes, theme-based artistic elements, in your image. Use the Text tool to add text to your image. With the Preset Shape tool, you can add predefined shapes such as callouts, arrows and starbursts to your image. The rectangle creates a rectangle or square, and the ellipse creates an ellipse or circle. Symmetric shape creates symmetrical or star-shaped objects. The pen tool creates connected or unconnected lines and freehand curves. The warp brush shrinks, grows, twists, or distorts pixels. The mesh warp distorts a photo by dragging points along an overlay grid. Airbrush, chalk, pastel, crayon, colour pencil, marker and watercolour brushes simulate brushstrokes or drawing, much like using the tools in real life. And the palette knife simulates applying oil paint with a knife instead of a brush. The smear tool smears whatever pigment you've applied to an art media layer. And the eraser erases whatever pigment you've applied to an art media layer. Okay, now that you know the tools in the Tools toolbar, let's do a quick run through of the Materials palette. Corel PaintShop Pro lets you paint, draw and fill with a variety of styles and materials. And the Materials palette is where you can find all sorts of colours, gradients and patterns for your designs. The main components of the Materials palette include the Swatches tab, which displays swatches for the currently selected palette. Swatches are materials you can save to use again. The HSL Map tab, which displays a saturation and lightness box that you can click to adjust the currently selected colour, or click to adjust a new colour that you select by dragging the slider on the colour bar. The Sliders tab displays sliders and value boxes that you can use to set a colour in the following colour spaces: RGB, HSL, CMYK, Lab and WebSafe. You can also set a shade using grayscale. Foreground and stroke and background and fill properties boxes display the current foreground and background materials, which consist of the style, colour gradient or pattern, and optional texture. You can click either box to display the Material Properties dialog box, in which you can set material options. These boxes can be used in the following ways. You can use foreground materials for brush strokes and background materials for fills. When you apply strokes with a brush, clicking lets you paint with a foreground material and right-clicking lets you paint with a background material. When you are using the Art Media tools, you can set the foreground colour for the pigment that you apply to the canvas. For text and vector shapes, you can set the foreground colour for the stroke or outline of the text or shape, and the background colour for the fill of the text or shape. The Style button shows which style is currently selected: colour, gradient or pattern. To change between the most recently selected colour, gradient and pattern, you can click the Style button and select a new style from the drop-down list. Note that these options are disabled for the Art Media tools, which use only solid colours. The Texture button turns the current texture on or off. The Set to Black and White button sets the foreground to black and the background to white. This is helpful when you use the Edit Selection command. The Transparent button specifies whether the foreground or the background material is transparent. You use a transparent material primarily with vector objects and text. A transparent foreground has no outline, only the objects or letters are filled. And a transparent background has no fill, only the objects or letters are outlined. This button is unavailable for tools that require a foreground or background material. The All Tools checkbox specifies whether the selected foreground and background materials apply to all tools. If the checkbox is unmarked, the selected material applies only to the active tool. Finally, I'll give you a rundown on layers, a very useful feature for photo editing and graphic design. Layers lets you separate edits so you can change a layer without affecting the content of other layers. Some layers are created automatically. Note the text I created earlier was automatically placed on a new layer. Layer styles are effects that can be added to an individual layer. Here I can add effects such as a drop shadow and emboss. There's so much in the Edit Workspace that this video can only scratch the surface. But with the many learning tools available to you, like the Learning Center and video tutorials, you'll be a PaintShop Pro in no time. So there you have it, a getting started guide to the Edit Workspace in PaintShop Pro. I hope you found it helpful.